Hi, my name is Cartez Ross, and welcome. Again, I'm one of the magicians here that will be teaching you many of the illusions and tricks that you'll be learning over the course of this program. The paper trick, let's see, let me zoom in a little bit. And my face will probably be cut off, but that's fine. I just want to show you all the process here. Of course, there's two pieces of paper used. You can get away with using napkins, newspapers like I have here, or whatever you like. Just try and make sure everything on the paper is the same. As you can see, both of these are different, but I can kind of get away with it by saying that the other side was different. But the key here is to make sure the paper that you have is the same on either side. It's best to probably use blank paper. That way the consistency is there and no room for error. But anyhow, two pieces of paper. And here's the secret. You prep before you prepare the trick before you actually do it. So it's one of those things that you can prepare pretty quickly. But you just ball one of them up. Get it as small as you can. And we're not having to palm anything, because palming is a whole other technique that you'll learn as you get further along the course. But what we're going to do, we're just going to ball this up, and basically what you do is get the other piece of paper and you put this piece right behind it, and so you literally hold it by the fingertips. Let me show you here the back side. Literally holding it by the fingertips. And so when you're showing it, don't hold the paper like this with your hands. Try to make it look as natural as possible. By having your fingers free, they clearly see that there's nothing in your hands. And also make sure you roll your sleeves up. Sometimes people get kind of funny thinking that, let me back this remote control up some. Sometimes people get a little funny thinking that you're have some things concealed in your sleeves. But again, the key is just hold the paper and look as natural as possible. And for this, for the record, I'm right-handed, and so I'm holding the piece of paper in my left hand. And let me see if I can get you a better shot of that. Let's see here. Oops. So the paper is literally in my left hand, and I'm holding it by the fingertips. So what you're going to do, and once you start to rip the pieces of paper up, you can begin to hold it with two fingers here. But what I'm going to do is, let's see here, get some shots here. I'm going to start by ripping the paper, and this takes practice knowing where to rip it and how to rip it. But you're going to rip it, and again, it's still back here, but there's absolutely nothing to hide here. But we're going to rip it, and what you're going to do, as you rip, you're going to put the pieces back in the front, like that, and you're going to put it back in the front, and put it back in the front, and you're just going to rip and rip. No particular order, just make sure you stack the paper back in front of the whole piece here. So we're just going to stack, and it takes practice. And we're going to rip, and rip, and rip. And you want to try and rip it as small as you can. That way, because some people want to say, oh, you had the paper hidden and folded somewhere, and the paper were doubled and whatnot. You can get all kinds of crazy stuff. But if you rip it up like this, people won't doubt a thing. But again, I'm going to zoom back in so you can see what's going on here. Oops, got to get the angles right on this camera. But the whole piece is right here. Okay? And now here comes the tricky part. Now, we got all the shredded pieces in front of the whole piece of paper. So now you can actually move it from hand to hand, just, making sure you hold it. But what we're going to do now, here's the trick. We're going to ball the paper up, the torn pieces, but we're going to push it towards the front as we balled it. And push it, close it, just push it together. Now, since the paper is balled up, we can actually turn the whole piece around from front to back, and now it's in the front because everything looks the same at this point. You know, so you can just keep kind of messing around with it a little bit. And now what you're going to do is take the whole pieces in the front, the complete piece of paper is in the front. Now the torn pieces are in the back. So what we're going to do is put the paper in the palm of your hand with the whole piece at the top. Now you're going to close your hand, and let's zoom back in. Okay, let's see here. Now, what I normally do is snap 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then I blow. Now, once you take the paper out your hand, you grab all the pieces, again with the whole piece in front. The whole piece is in the front, and the torn pieces are on the back side. Now, what you start to do is open up the paper from the front, which is actually the whole piece. And as you're opening up the paper, you just maneuver the torn pieces of paper around until you can get it back in the upper left-hand corner. Or if you're right-handed, back in the upper right-hand corner. And voila, there we go. Now, again, I got the whole piece, the torn pieces, back in the back again. You see that there? Okay. Now, and that's the trick. A lot of times, you know, as far as what to do with the paper, you can ball it, after you're done with it, you can ball it up and put it in your pocket, throw it in the trash. But as you get further along, there are some techniques that I can show you on some other ways you can get rid of this piece of paper. But for now, that's a little too advanced. But for the most part, most people are not going to bother you once you show it to them. And if you want, immediately after you show it to them whole again, just rip it up again and just rip it up. This is just another way to get rid of it without looking too suspicious. And let's see, attempt to do it again. And this time, you balled it up, put it back in your hand. Say 1, 2, 3. And then you open it back up. And then you just say, oh, I forgot. I can only do the trick 1 time a day. Well, I can only do the trick once. And once they see the paper is still in pieces again, you know, just pick them all up at that point and just throw it in the trash. And I guarantee you, nobody will bother you. Well, that's the first trick for today. Again, get some practice and practice in front of a mirror. And once you get comfortable doing it, do it at least 10 times in front of a mirror before you show your friend. The goal here is to try and fool your friend. And if you don't succeed, at least you haven't embarrassed yourself by trying to show it to everybody. But practice, and I'll check in on you in a couple of days just to see how things are going along with this particular trick. And once you get this particular trick down, I'll send you another tip, another illusion that you can practice. And again, we're going over the basics first, which will set the foundation for a lot of the other advanced illusions. So practice makes perfect. And if you have a video, go ahead and film yourself doing it once you learn the process, and just email it to me. I'll be glad to take a look at it and give you some critique on what you can do, some things that you can do better to improve the trick. My email address is info@freemagicschool.com. That's info@freemagicschool.com. Again, my name is Cartes Ross, and have a great day.